Hello teachers, I'm Mark Richard, Educational Services Manager for Oxford University Press. Our question for this video is, how can we motivate our students to engage in activities? Okay. Before I share some ideas, you can think about these questions and maybe discuss them with your colleagues. So hit the pause button if you'd like to do that. When you're ready to carry on, press play. So how can we engage students in activities? It's an extremely complex question. And words like engage, motivate, participate, they're all interwoven with each other. But you can break it down into three key elements in any lesson: the teacher, the students, and the materials or the content you're working with. Now, I think that the teacher's the most important of these factors in terms of motivating students to work with the material. But the material can help too. Let's take a look at how. At Oxford University Press, we want to know how our materials can help teachers to get students motivated to participate in classroom activities. So we've done the research. We asked teachers, does Smart Choice help students engage with their learning? 94% of teachers say yes, and 99% of teachers say that Smart Choice helps students to participate in the class. I know from experience, what teachers are really looking for from materials is something which can engage their students and help teachers with that motivational aspect. One reason that we know Smart Choice is effective here is its very clear layout and very clear presentation of activities, so everyone in the classroom knows exactly what they have to do and how they should do it. So this course is already working, and for the new 4th edition, we look to add even more ways to get students engaged in the tasks. So one thing we do is provide more video support. That's 100% new, and it's all about engaging students, particularly in getting students to speak. When students watch a video of people having a conversation in English, they not only hear what to do, they see what to do, and then they can do it successfully. So in this video, I'll focus on using video to get students motivated to practice English speaking. Are videos intrinsically interesting? If they are, it means the teacher just has to press the play button and students can watch and learn English that way. Well, we might wish that were true, but it is not true. Students don't learn if they just watch videos. So what I'm going to talk about is how to make videos engaging so that they involve students in the lesson and students learn English from watching them. I'd like to introduce you to the Multimedia Learning Continuum. I found this very, very useful in my teaching, especially with videos. This is all based on the key principle of interacting with the video content. So again, if you just show students a video, they probably won't remember the language or information from it. The key is to make students interact with the multimodal content, for example, video. And we do this in many ways. I'll show you one later. But once students interact with the content, you give them a task to do, something which makes them work a little bit. Then they get engaged in the content. And once they're engaged in the content, they will remember information and also language from the video. So this is a general educational suggestion of how to use videos, and I think it works very well in language teaching, the Multimedia Learning Continuum. Let's look at how to apply the Multimedia Learning Continuum, or MLC, in conversation lessons with video. So what you do first is you get the students to work with the material by previewing it. So to preview a video, you can establish the context. That's pretty easy. You show the students a picture from the video and ask, oh, who are they, where are they, what are they doing, right? You can also input some language, so perhaps teach some vocabulary to the students that they will see and hear in the video. And I like to get students to predict content. One way to get students to predict the content of the video is to show the video to students but with no sound. So that way students will be really looking at the content of the video, and they'll be looking at people's body language, looking at people's mouths opening and closing, thinking about what's happening where, and predicting the language that they will hear. So you can do that. A quicker way is to show students a still frame from the video and ask a few questions about that. For example, if we look at this still frame from a video in Smart Choice's conversation lesson, we can ask those two students who are looking over there, what do you think they're looking at? Or who are they looking at? And I can tell you that a student's going to walk into the classroom. So I like to ask questions like, what will the teacher say? What will the student say? I also like to ask questions about characters' emotions. For example, if you walk late into a class, how do you feel? How do the other students feel? How does the teacher feel? What do you say? I like that because focusing on emotions gets the students kind of emotionally involved in the video. And that's a way of interacting with the content. But whatever you do, in the previewing phase, the important part is that your students are not just passively watching the video, they're alert and they have a task to do, which forces them to interact with the content. After you've done the preview, we can move to while viewing activities. Two keys here. You've got to provide a reason for students to watch and interact or keep interacting with the content. They're still not just watching the video. And then the second point is that usually we will focus students' attention on a particular aspect of the video, which could be language, or it could be something like body language or the setting. So let's have a look at an example. In Smart Choice 4th edition, the exercise is to first complete the conversation, which students see in exercise 1, then they watch and check their answers. So that's the reason they have to interact with the video content. But you can do things to make students interact a bit more with that content. For example, students can complete the missing words in that exercise, but when they watch the video to check their answers, play that video with no sound. And instead of listening, students will watch very carefully, and you ask them to put their hands up when you think a character is saying the answer. I also love to get students to notice body language and to copy the body language and facial expressions of characters they see, because later when they practice the conversation, they'll already have a sense of the meaning and the emotions because they've already done the conversation with their bodies. So that's interesting. And then finally, you can play the video with sound and students can check their answers, see if they were right. But you're making students work that little bit harder and interacting more deeply with the video content. When you get students to focus on what they can see in the video, we call it an observation-related task. Far too often, teachers waste video content by doing listening activities with them. But if you want the students to interact and pay attention, get them to watch, turn the sound off, and students will notice aspects of communication like expression, body language, which they can later use to help them with their speaking practice. After watching the video, it's time for some post-viewing activities. Here, students work with the language from the video, and often they'll personalize it. They can discuss it, they can reenact it, they can extend it, they can reversion it. So let's have a look at how we can do that. So one of the easiest things you can do for a post-viewing activity is for students to reenact a conversation that they watched in the video. And this is what happens in exercise 1. Students watch the video and then they practice the conversation with a partner. If we look at the other activities which follow that, we see substitutions. So now students are reversioning the conversation, they're personalizing it. And in number 3, they're personalizing it even more, and that includes adding more language to extend the conversation. So they're doing their own reenactment of the conversation, but it's extended, it's personalized. And depending on how strong your students are, they can personalize it a lot or just change it a little from the original. So this, for me, is very easy to do in the classroom or online when you're watching videos. But the key principle remains interaction. We don't just watch videos. You've got to set your students a task to interact with them. When students interact with the video content, that's when they get engaged with that content. And if they get engaged with it, they'll work on it. The language will stick, the information will stick, and that's how we learn from videos. Related to motivation, we also provide the videos for students to watch and for teachers too on the online practice. Now we know from research that, and I'll read this quote, individual control over the pace of learning increases student motivation and learning. So you'll get some students who don't quite have time to understand or hear every single thing during your lesson, but they really appreciate after the lesson just pausing at the place they found difficult and controlling that video slider and listening again and again and again. And we know that students feel that they're in control, and that's very motivating. So it's great to give your students the chance to watch a video by themselves as a follow-up. So that's one of the reasons we put this on online practice. Now there are many things you can do to get your students interacting with the video content. If you'd like to find out more, look in the Teacher's Book for Smart Choice 4th edition, but also on the online practice for teachers, there are downloadable worksheets with more interactive video tasks that you can give to your students. In this video, I've talked about 2 resources which I'd like to share with you. The first one is Video in the ELT Classroom, an OUP focus paper, and the other one is the Smart Choice Impact Study on motivating students, getting them involved and getting them speaking in the classroom. If you'd like to download the focus paper, Video in English Language Teaching, here's the QR code. It'll take you to a site where there are many papers for you to download, but find this one and download it. And if you haven't joined the Oxford Teachers Club, it's free to get that download. And if you'd like to find out more about the impact study on how we get students speaking and how we get them involved in lessons and in tasks, here's the QR code for that.